65 million years ago, a cataclysmic asteroid wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs, leaving Earth's reign to the mammals. Freed from their former predators, these creatures quickly grew in size, some becoming behemoths of the land. For millions of years, mammals continued this upward trend, reaching their zenith about 34 million years ago with the rise of a colossal creature, the Paraceratherium, a hornless rhino from Eurasia, long considered the largest land mammal ever. But what if we were wrong? In the 18th, a shocking discovery in India unearthed something even bigger, a prehistoric elephant that dwarfed the mighty Paraceratherium. This towering giant, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, may very well be the true title holder of the largest mammal to ever walk the earth. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, the forgotten giant, wasn't just another species of elephant, it was a colossus. Towering over its contemporaries, even eclipsing some of the largest dinosaurs, yet while the woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers have their place in our imagination, this immense creature remains a mystery to many. For centuries, this creature lay hidden beneath the sands of time until fossil discoveries across Asia revealed something astounding: a land mammal that could go up to 16 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh over 20 tons. To grasp its size, imagine an African elephant, the largest land animal today. Then make it bigger, much bigger, twice as heavy, with tusks that could reach over 13 feet long. These tusks weren't just weapons, they were the tools of a creature that had to command its environment to survive. But how could such a massive creature go unnoticed for so long? Why is Palaeoloxodon Namadicus largely forgotten in the annals of prehistoric giants? The answer lies in the scarcity of its remains and the remote locations where they were discovered. In the 19th century, European explorers and scientists stumbled upon these massive bones in remote parts of Asia. At first, they couldn't quite believe the scale of what they found. Skeptics dismissed the idea that land mammal could reach such sizes. It would take decades for paleontologists to piece together the full picture of this giant, using the latest scientific tools and a bit of luck. And as more evidence emerged, so did the magnitude of this forgotten giant. But while Palaeoloxodon Namadicus stands as the largest land mammal ever discovered, it lived in a world teeming with life, facing challenges that pushed it to evolve in remarkable ways. To understand this giant, we must first go back to the end of an era, a time when the extinction of the dinosaurs gave way to a new world order. Standing as tall as a two-story building and weighing as much as a dozen African elephants, Paraceratherium once held the title of the largest land mammal. Its discovery in the early 20th century sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Here was a creature that rivaled the dinosaurs in size. Although it wasn't a reptile, it was a mammal. Originally, discovery in the remote deserts of what is now Pakistan and Mongolia, the bones of Paraceratherium revealed the creature. Unlike anything scientists had imagined, its neck was long, its legs were pillar-like, and its head, though small compared to its body, allowed it to reach high into the trees for food. For years, it was believed that no other mammal could have come close to Paraceratherium size. This giant ruled its ecosystems, its immense bulk allowing it to dominate over smaller herbivores. While it had no natural predators to fear, it moved with slow, deliberate power, an ancient titan, unchallenged in its time. It roamed across vast stretches of prehistoric Asia from what is now Kazakhstan to northern India, trotting in open woodlands and scrublands where its enormous body could navigate with ease. Paraceratherium was the pinnacle of mammalian evolution, a true titan of the post-dinosaur age. But as majestic as Paraceratherium was, it would soon be eclipsed. In the dusty plains of India, another set of fossils was quietly waiting to rewrite history. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, an elephant species whose bones revealed an evil larval creature than Paraceratherium, one that would shatter previous records and force scientists to reconsider what we knew about the giants of Earth's past. Now, let's dive into the discovery of this hidden behemoth and unravel the mystery of the true largest land mammal that ever walked the earth. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. While Paraceratherium dominated the paleontological spotlight for decades, a much larger secret lay buried beneath the sands of India. In 1905, paleontologists unearthed fossilized remains that would later be identified as belonging to the largest land mammal ever known, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. At first, these remains seemed like those of a large elephant, another ancient relative of the woolly mammoth, but as the bones were carefully studied, it became clear that this was not an ordinary elephant. It was something much more, a creature whose size defied imagination. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was a species of straight-tusked elephant, a relative of the modern Asian elephant but on a much grander scale, standing over 62 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing an estimated 22 tons. This giant would have dwarfed not only the Paraceratherium but almost every other land mammal in Earth's history. To put it in perspective, the largest African elephants today reach up to 13 feet tall and weigh around 7 tons. But Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was more than 3 times heavier and could have easily reached the second-story windows of a building just by raising its head. The discovery of this enormous mammal shocked the scientific community. How could such a massive creature survive in a world that had already been reshaped by climate change and the rise of human civilization? And where had it been overlooked for so long? Part of the reason Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was overlooked for so long is that its remains were scattered across such a wide geographical area. We have pieces of the puzzle, but it wasn't until recently that we could start putting them together. We also have to consider that Palaeoloxodon lived in regions of Asia that were less explored by paleontologists in the early days of fossil hunting. The focus had long been on North America and Europe. But this discovery opened up even more questions. How did such a massive mammal find enough food to sustain itself? How did it adapt to survive in a world that was becoming increasingly hostile to a large megafauna? To answer these questions, scientists began to reconstructing the life of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. Starting with evolution and migration patterns, this modern mammal that didn't just survive, it thrived, even as the world around it began to Subscribe now to join our exclusive community where we explore extinct prehistoric creatures twice a week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Story of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus begins millions of years before it reached its titanic size. As with most giants, it didn't start that way. Over time, evolution shaped and molded this creature, adapting it to the shifting landscapes of prehistoric Asia and Europe. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was part of a larger family of straight-cussed elephants that first evolved in Africa. Over the course of millions of years, these early elephants began migrating out of Africa, spreading to Europe and Asia. But it was in the Indian subcontinent that Palaeoloxodon Namadicus developed into the giant we know today. Over time, as the climate of Asia changed, Palaeoloxodon adapted. The lush forests and wetlands of earlier epochs gave way to open plains and dry environments, forcing these elephants to grow larger to reach high vegetation and travel long distances for food and water. Their long, powerful legs allowed them to cover vast distances in search of resources, while their immense size helped protect them from predators. But this migration wasn't just about survival, it was about dominance. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus wasn't merely surviving in this environment, it was thriving. By understanding the evolution of this species, we can better appreciate how these elephants became so successful in their time. But evolution is only part of the story. The other piece of the puzzle lies in just how large these creatures were, and why. In the next chapter, we dive deep into the size of this mega elephant, just how big was Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, and how it measured up to other prehistoric giants. The fossil record can be an incomplete and fragile source of knowledge. Through it, scientists have pieced together an astonishing picture of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus' true size. How do you measure a creature whose bones have long turned to dust? And how can you estimate the weight of an animal larger than anything alive today? Paleontologists rely on various methods to estimate the size of extinct animals, combining measurements from fossilized bones, skeletal reconstructions, and comparisons with living relatives. For Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, this task was daunting. This was no ordinary elephant. It stood up to 16 feet tall at the shoulder with tusks that measure over 13 feet long. The sheer mass of this creature is staggering. Estimates place Palaeoloxodon Namadicus at a weight of up to 22 tons, more than twice the weight of the largest African elephants. That's the equivalent of around 3 fully loaded school buses. All one towering animal. To put its tusk in perspective, those towering ivory structures were so large they could stretch the length of a modern Satan. Beef's tusks were not just for show. They were used to strip art from trees, defend against predators, and even engage in battles with other elephants. But how do scientists arrive at beef numbers? It's a meticulous process involving both traditional paleontological techniques and modern technology. By comparing fossilized leg bones to modern elephant skeletons, researchers can estimate the body mass and stature of these ancient giants. This process involves more than just raw data. It's about understanding the anatomy of the animal, how it moved, lived, and thrived. Each new discovery of Palaeoloxodon fossils has added to this picture, revealing more about its titanic size and confirming that this creature was not just the largest elephant to ever exist, but one of the largest mammals ever to walk the earth. Now that we've uncovered the true size of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, the question remains, how did this prehistoric giant compare to other legendary creatures that roved the land in ancient times? What we think of the largest creatures in history, many of us imagine the towering dinosaurs that once ruled Earth. But how does Palaeoloxodon Namadicus compare to the other giants of prehistory, both before and after the age of dinosaurs? In the age of the dinosaurs, creatures like Brachiosaurus and Argentinosaurus were far larger than annuline mammal, with some reaching lengths of over 100 feet and weighing upwards of 80 tons. But after the extinction of the dinosaurs, the of largest land animal was passed to the mammals. Paraceratherium, which once held the title of the largest land mammal, stood nearly 16 feet tall and weighed around 20 tons. But even Paraceratherium's enormous bulb paled in comparison to Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. This was a creature that, while not as long as the great sauropods, rivaled them in terms of sheer weight and strength. Paraceratherium was tall and slender, but built for reaching high into the trees. But Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was a full crest of legs. Its enormous build adapted for power and endurance. While Paraceratherium was built to navigate open forests, Palaeoloxodon was built to dominate the plains, using its immense weight and strength to thrive. But it's not just the largest mammals that Palaeoloxodon Namadicus stands alongside. It also shares a place with the great marine giants like the blue whale, which at 100 feet in length and 200 tons is the largest animal to ever exist. While Palaeoloxodon couldn't match the blue whale in weight, on land, it was in a league of its own. The true scale of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus is not just a testament to its size, but to its adaptability. Despite living in a world of changing climates and landscapes, this mega elephant thrived where others could not. Its massive frame was not just a burden, it was an evolutionary advantage. While many of the other giants of the ancient world, like Paraceratherium, eventually went extinct due to changing ecosystems, Palaeoloxodon continued to evolve, adapting to its surroundings and maintain its place as a dominant force in prehistoric ecosystems. In this battle of prehistoric titans, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus stands as the undisputed champion of the land. Its size, strength, and resilience unmatched in the mammalian world. But its story isn't just one of size, it's one of survival in a world that was constantly changing. Next, we'll dive deeper into what life was like for this colossal creature, from its daily habits to its interactions with other animals and humans that share its world. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was a creature whose sheer size commanded attention, but its strength was equally formidable. Its massive body was not just about bulk, it was about a marvel of evolutionary design, perfectly adapted to thrive in a harsh, prehistoric world. Let's break down what made this creature so powerful. Its legs were built like pillars, capable of supporting its enormous weight. The bones were picked and dense, allowing Palaeoloxodon Namadicus to carry its 22-ton mass across vast distances in search of food and fodder. But strength isn't just about moving, it's about survival. The tusks of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus were not only for defense, they were also critical tools for everyday life. Measuring over 13 feet long, these tusks were used for foraging, breaking branches off trees, and even excavating water from dry riverbeds. These tusks made of iron were incredibly strong but also flexible, allowing the elephant to manipulate objects with surprising precision for such a large animal. Beyond its tusks, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus had another weapon: its sheer size. Fewer predators would dare to challenge such a massive animal. However, its large ears, much like today's elephants, help regulate body temperature, dissipating heat in the scorching environments it inhabited. The sheer mass of Palaeoloxodon's body, coupled with its thick hide and muscular frame, meant there was not only inhabitable but an unstoppable force. This wasn't just an animal, it was a living tank, but to endure the most brutal environments. As impressive as strength and size were, these adaptations had one primary purpose: survival. And were it keen to surviving? In a world full of competition, Paraceratherium Namadicus was perfectly designed for the job. In the vast plains and forests of prehistoric Asia, life for Palaeoloxodon Namadicus revolved around one key activity: finding enough food to fuel its enormous size, or enormous body. Like modern elephants, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was an herbivore, feeding primarily on leaves, bark, and grasses. But given its enormous size, its appetite was equally gigantic. It's estimated that a single adult Palaeoloxodon would have been able to consume several hundred pounds of vegetation each day just to maintain its body weight. Finding this much food in a prehistoric landscape was no easy feat. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus had to traverse great distances in search of the best feeding grounds, often covering dozens of miles each day. With its incredible sense of smell and hearing, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus could detect distant water resources and the lush vegetation it needed to survive. This ability to seek out food and water, even in times of scarcity, was key to its dominance in the prehistoric world. Food wasn't the only necessity. Like modern elephants, these giants were social creatures, often moving in herds. These herds provided protection, companionship, and a way for younger members to learn how to survive in a harsh world. By living in groups, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus could defend itself from predators and share knowledge about the best feeding grounds. In a world where survival was never guaranteed, this social structure was crucial. As day turned to night, the daily rhythm of life for Palaeoloxodon Namadicus would continue. These gentle giants would feed, rest, and move as a collective force across the landscape, constantly adapting to the changing seasons and environments they called home. And yet, despite its size and strength, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus faced many challenges. From finding enough food to caring for its young, every day was a battle for survival. And in the end, it was these daily habits that shaped the evolution of this prehistoric giant. But while Palaeoloxodon Namadicus ruled the land for millennia, its story does not end with its rank. What forces ultimately led to the downfall of this mighty behemoth? And how did its legacy shape the world we live in today? Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, its sheer size was a marvel of nature, but even more impressive was the strength that lay within those towering bones. standing at over 16 feet tall, at a shoulder and length up to 22 tons. Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was built like no other leg mammal before or since. Its massive legs, big as tree trunks, were the foundation of its incredible strength, enabling it to carry its enormous body all along distances in search of food and water. Its tusks, iconic and powerful, were not just for display or defense. These massive ivory weapons, over 32 feet long, served as tools for survival. With them, a beast could strip bark from trees, uproot vegetation, or even fend off potential threats. The Palaeoloxodon Namadicus housed these magnificent tusks, but it also supported a muscular trunk, a versatile and powerful appendage. This trunk, much like modern elephants, allowed for delicate manipulation of objects and helped the animal drink, forage, and communicate with its herd. Even the skin of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus told a story of survival. Big and tough, its height provided protection against the sun's harsh rays and the bite of ancient predators. Meanwhile, large ears acted as natural radiators, helping to cool its massive body in sweltering heat. Yet, this physical form, though seemingly invincible, was more than just a product of size. Every feature, from its tufts to its immense feet, was finely tuned by millions of years of evolution. Strength was not just a defensive measure, it was a way of life. But life for this prehistoric behemoth wasn't just about raw strength. It was about what did Palaeoloxodon Namadicus do with all that power? How did it spend its days? And what filled the belly of such a powerful creature? Despite its immense size, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus had the same simple need as all living things: food. But how does a creature that weighs as much as a dozen cars fuel its body every day? Diet consisted mostly of leaves, grasses, bark, and other vegetation. However, unlike modern elephants, the amount of food it needed was astronomical. Scientists estimate that this prehistoric giant would consume up to 600 pounds of plant material every single day. To sustain such a diet, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus had to be constantly on the move. The search for food could take the animal over vast distances, from dense forests to open plains, as it sought out the most nutrient-rich vegetation. Water, too, was a precious resource. Entire herds would travel for miles, seeking out rivers and lakes to quench their massive thirst. But food and water weren't the only necessities. These creatures lived in tightly knit social groups, much like their modern descendants. Huts offered protection, but they also provided structure, passing down survival knowledge to younger generations. Within these huts, dinner not falls a routine. Foraging, drinking, and resting formed the rhythm of their existence. And though predators were few for such a large animal, vigilance was always necessary, particularly for the young. For Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, survival was about more than just strength and size. For the young, or Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, survival was about more than just strength and size. It was about adaptation, cooperation, and the relentless pursuit of food and water. These giants roamed the earth for millennia. Their lives and bare lives an intricate balance between power and survival. But despite their dominance, the line of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, like all species, would one day come to an end. What forces conspired to bring down this colossal giant? And how did the legacy of these ancient beasts live on? As mighty as Palaeoloxodon Namadicus was, it lived in a world that was far from safe. Predators lurked in the shadows, and most notably, a new kind of threat was emerging, one that would eventually shape the future of the planet: humans. While no predator could easily bring down an adult Palaeoloxodon, the giant and vulnerable members of the herd were not so fortunate. Prehistoric carnivores like saber-toothed cats or packs of direwolves may have occasionally tested their luck, especially if they could isolate a young or sick elephant from the protection of the herd. But it wasn't just other animals that posed a threat. Only human groups, though far less physically imposing, had something far more dangerous: intelligence and teamwork. As these early humans began to spread across Asia, they encountered Palaeoloxodon Namadicus, a giant of unimaginable proportions. This evidence that early human groups scavenged of the remains of large animals like Palaeoloxodon bones discovered near early human tools suggest that humans may have capitalized on natural deaths, using the carcasses for food, tools, and even shelter. These opportunistic behaviors were essential for survival in a harsh and competitive landscapes. For early humans, the presence of such a massive creature would have been both a threat and a resource. But while Palaeoloxodon Namadicus may have been an occasional source of food, it wasn't the only challenge humans faced. Coexisting with these giants required early humans to respect the power and danger that came with the territory. The relationship between humans and Palaeoloxodon was complex. While direct evidence of hunting is limited, it is clear that the rise of human civilization marked a turning point. As only humans grew more skilled in hunting, gathering, and altering the environment, the fate of many large animals, including Palaeoloxodon, would be sealed. For millennia, Palaeoloxodon Namadicus roamed the earth, a living monument to nature's ability to produce life on a colossal scale. But as the world changed, even the greatest giant could not escape the forces of time. Several factors contributed to the eventual extinction of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. Climate change played a significant role. Temperatures fluctuated, and the lush environments that once supported these massive creatures began to disappear. With the loss of their habitat, finding enough food to sustain their enormous bodies became increasingly difficult. Another factor was the rise of human civilization. As early humans evolved and spread, their impact on the environment grew. Hunting, deforestation, and competition for resources linked with put additional pressure on already declining population of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus. While it's unclear exactly when or how the species disappeared, the evidence suggests that human expansion may have played a part. As the climate continued to shift and the landscape changed, the numbers of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus dwindled. Eventually, the last of these giants disappeared from the earth, leaving behind only their bones to tell the story of once mighty species. Though Palaeoloxodon Namadicus is gone, its legacy lives on. Today, scientists continue to study its remains, uncovering new details about its life, its world, and its ultimate extinction. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding how these magnificent creatures lived and what lessons their extinction can teach us about our own future. Perhaps the greatest legacy of Palaeoloxodon Namadicus is the reminder that even the largest and most powerful creatures are not immune to change. As we face our own environmental challenges, the story of Palaeoloxodon stands as both a warning and an inspiration. The earth is always changing, and the fate of its inhabitants, great and small, depend on their ability to adapt. Hit that subscribe button now. We've just seen how the meta elephant towered over prehistoric giants, but size wasn't everything in the Asian world. Saber-toothed cats had their own clever way of surviving. Want to know how they outsmarted early humans? Click on the video popping on your screen. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and see you there.